Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to probably the best episode yet, I have a feeling. This is episode 3 of Unfiltered, and we have the wonderful Max Burditt here.
Cheers, man.
And
thank you very much.
I can't believe you've actually agreed to this.
Yeah, man.
I was surprised. I was surprised he's actually agreed. We do have Cam behind the camera.
Cam behind the cam.
Cam behind the cam.
Oh, man.
He won't make an appearance. We're actually going to do a foreign set episode. So basically it's going to be him, Rio, Bailey, Diego, and Aaron.
Right.
I'm going to try and get them all in the same one. I don't know about the next one. I want to try and get Ben's band, Abgron. I want to try and get them on.
Oh, that's it.
So
right.
If I get them on, then
good. I like the fact you're
they'll
doing
be
this,
after.
you know?
Yeah, it's actually so fun to do. Like, it's just fun talking to people about random stuff, and it's like
I'm gonna turn and face you a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fine. Right. It's like it's fun talking because it's stuff they care about as well. Yeah, so like they're actually willing to do it and talk about it. So me, Cam, and Aiden. Shout out Aiden. He probably will watch this. We come up with a bunch of questions. This literally was just like 5 minutes ago. So we've tried to come up with some good questions for you. So I'm gonna get these up. And yeah, right. So the first question that we did. So what actually inspired you to start producing?
Producing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. So I was a guitarist, right?
Okay.
And I had to, when I came to college, I had to pick another subject, and just like, what else was there? And music production. It was like, yeah, it's music. I love music. I was addicted to it as a guitarist anyway. I couldn't stop playing guitar all the time. So I was like, yeah, I'll pick up production. Just as another subject, not really because that's what I wanted to do. In fact, at first, I sort of really didn't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really, really, really didn't like it. Like, wanted to drop it, but glad I didn't. You know, and then,
that's what you do now. So
yeah, exactly. But then there was a project I had to do for the second year, where basically you could do a project on whatever you wanted. You had a whole year to do it.
Yeah.
And project I picked was to like do a cover album of how rock music changed since the 50s. So I did like a cover of a Elvis song from the 50s, Beatles 60s, Led Zeppelin 70s, Queen 80s, Blur song 2 90s, White Stripes, Seven Nation Army 2000s, and the 2010s at the time I did Arctic Monkeys, Are You Mine? So I covered the whole song. I still have all the audio files, my old SoundCloud.
You've got to show us.
Yeah, I think I've shown you before. I think you have. There's like me and Chris doing backing vocals on on Are You Mine. It's terrible, but like.
I need to hear this now.
You never met Chris, did you?
No, I was unfortunate because I've heard a lot of people just talk about him in general, say he was like quite nice and stuff. Although he was like apparently really strict at times. Apparently he was just. Apparently he was just sound to everyone. So
he's a legend. Yeah, he's a massive influence on me.
Really?
I wouldn't have gone to uni if I didn't have him as a teacher. So.
You do English in uni at the minute, yeah?
English?
I got told you do English.
Nah.
What do you do in uni?
No.
One of you did?
No, I do music business masters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I literally do my dissertation.
Who told me English?
Dissertation hand in a month's time. So if I start coming in and looking...
Oh, it was Ollie who told me that for some reason. Ollie's...
Yeah. If I start coming in like super stressed, losing my hair in the next month or so, like...
Well, you already have.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
it was the joke.
Go on.
Sorry. Yeah, it just developed from there. Started producing, doing that. I still wasn't really fully into it. You guys are way more into it than I was at your age.
Yeah.
And even way more into it than I was at uni. I like was a bit of a slacker at uni, just like partied a bit too much and like didn't really pay attention to what I should have done.
Yeah.
And still liked it, still enjoyed it. Still thought of myself more as a guitarist than I did a producer. But at the same time, I started going to like raves, and all my mates were all DJs playing like house and techno music. I started like experiencing that and enjoying that. And then was trying to find my way of, okay, I come from this band environment, you know, I was playing rock music, and I never ever knew what type of music I wanted to make. That was something that it seemed like everyone else seemed to be so, it seemed so obvious for everyone what type of music is they wanted to make. Whether they're a guitarist and they just want to be in a rock band, or they were a singer and they want to make pop music, or a producer who's making trap. You know, like everyone seemed like so clear on what it is they wanted to make. And I was like, man, I was in a Black Sabbath cover band, going to raves, went to like to watch orchestras, went to jazz nights and like went up and like improvised everything and made disco music as well. So it was just like you were just
juggling a whole bunch of things at once. You were like,
oh, how can you find
stuck,
out?
Not sure what to do.
And I definitely thought at the time, just like you needed to like pigeonhole yourself to solidify yourself as a brand. You need to like, you think about a producer in a certain style. It's because they're a producer in a certain style. That's how you know them. It's because they have a certain sound to them. And I was like, yeah, I definitely got to do that, but I don't know what my sound is. So that was weird to sort of think about for a while and to try and fully understand. And I think your sound changes, same as your taste changes. You just become a combination of all of your influences. Like everyone at first always like copies their influences, rightfully so, because there's a reason they're influences. It's like, Kanye's done this in a song, so I'm going to do the same thing. Or Prince played guitar like this, or you get the drift, and then you become a combination of your influences. And after a while, you start thinking more in the mindset rather than the copycat way of thinking. And you just make it your own. And then, because only you have your particular taste in music, you then start sounding like your own thing. Like, and it's just like, oh shit, no, that sounds like Max.
Yeah.
And I showed you boys all the tunes we did earlier. Like, all of them sound different, actually. To be fair, I mean, I know that they sound like me because I did them. But eventually, it just becomes like you then start forgetting that step. I need to try and sound like this, and you just end up making something.
You just end up making something that is just in your head, and you get it out, and you're like, "This is my sound," and then you kind of go from that, and it's gone from you wanted to aim to make this sound, but now you've just gone for whatever sound you want to go for.
Yeah.
So it's gone from, instead of just taking inspiration and making something that sounds similar to something else, you've just basically gone in with an idea and got it out.
Yeah, and it's whatever sound you want to make that day.
Yeah, your mood changes.
Big
I
time,
find that as well.
Big time. And that, I think, is how eventually I found that I really, really am just a producer. Was because if I was a guitarist, I wasn't good enough as a guitarist to be a session player that can play on anything. And if I was in a band, as a band, you have to have a brand, an identity, and you end that pigeonholes you in a genre. But where I couldn't find a genre to make music, I think being the type of producer that I am means that I can take knowledge and experience that I have making all these and enjoying all these different types of music, and then just bring it into every session when it's necessary. If it's necessary to pull out a bit of information about how Rage Against the Machine recorded their first album, then it's necessary to bring it up. If it's necessary to bring up about how like the SP1200 changed hip hop music, then you bring that up. If it's necessary to bring up about how like the U47 FET microphone totally changed the way that we record kick drum mics, then you bring that up because it's just knowledge of everything. That's how I found my home as a producer. It was just like I could do a bit of everything and help other people with their music, and that's actually. That took me a while to fully understand. It was like I didn't want to make my own music. Everyone wants to make their own music, right? That's the reason you're doing it.
Sorry about that.
But I want to make other people's music.
Yeah.
I want to make music with other people for them, because other people are the artists. You have some people that have like a great image, or they have the thing about them. Like they have the charisma to be on stage. They have the voice, and the image and the following. And like some people are just cool. And I'm never going to be one of them people. But I can help those people creatively, because if they are all of that, but they also have a creative mindset and they want to make cool music, like that's where I can step in. That's where I can help them, and that's where I can be like, yeah, let's make something cool for you. Or let's make and then just like forget everything else, get them into that mindset, and then it's the full package. Then
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a great song, great production, great image, great look, great voice. It's like that to me seems like a way more viable way of doing music for a living than trying to enforce upon myself and other people that I'm an artist and you should like my music, because like I'm not the full package.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the way that I eventually found my home as a producer. It's for the long answer.
How many people have you worked with?
Oh damn!
Just rough approximation if you don't know exactly.
Just as a producer, or within everything I've done with music.
We'll go producer.
Yeah. Producer. Don't know, 100 or so.
Oof. That's impressive.
Hundreds. Artists, bands, songwriters. I actually have taken into account the songwriters I work with, the people I've been in a room with making music and being a producer. There's way more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100 or so.
It's quite impressive.
And annoyingly, not all of those like fruition into something that gets released. I always find that upsetting. I hate having
a load of material you make. You put effort into it, and then
just sits on your laptop.
It just sits there.
Yeah, man. I've put so much extra time and effort into it because I thought this was really cool, and then the artist then says it doesn't suit their image now. They're not really feeling it or whatever. And that's like, I get it. I get it. If you're not happy with a piece of art, then you're not happy with a piece of art. But I think there is definitely a world of perfectionism that people think that is necessary to make it. They think that everything has to be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist, yeah? What matters more is consistency and the fact you're actually doing it. Because how many people will overthink a song or two so much that they end up then not even, they spend so much time and effort and mental strain on it.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do when I make something. Like,
yeah.
When I first met Cam and Aaron, obviously I know they're producers, I said to him, like, oh, show me what beats you've already made, because I know, like, as a producer as well, I know there's going to be a lot of stuff that just has been made but not used.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you haven't used it, and if you mind me using it, then I can actually bring that piece of music back to light, because it just kind of sits there.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, you put all that effort into it, and then it just never gets used because, like, say the person you made it for, they just don't use it. They're just like, oh yeah, this sounds really good. And, then you begin working on it, and then it just crumbles, and you just
keep hold of everything. Else. You know, always keep hold of it. Even if nothing ever comes of it, you can use that as like a bookmark for where you were as a producer and as an artist at that point. You reflect back on, oh, here's a beat I made a year ago. Listen to it. You go like, damn, that sounds like shit. And then you go, damn, that sounded really good to me at the time. And then now I can go like, oh, that sounds like shit, but that shows I've developed. And then listen to the stuff I've done now. It's just like, damn, that's a lot better than it was a year ago.
It's a lot of progress.
So it's progress. And then that then continues to happen and develop as your skills get better, your ear gets better, and your instincts get better.
Yeah.
When your instincts get better, you just jump straight onto something that sounds like gold straight away, because you've made so many, not mistakes, but you've made so many decisions in the past. You know what's a good one and what's a bad one throughout making all these songs. But always keep hold of everything, even if sometimes they're like complete songs and you just want to get it out, because there is a thing, if it is a complete song and you don't get it out when it's complete, once you are a year further along, you're gonna listen back to it and go like, that's not very good now, or I could do better in the mix, or whatever, your arrangement perhaps isn't as good as you'd want it to be, then you'll never release that song, because you'll then go, damn, that's not where I want it to be, that's not good.
What? Oh, it's cool. I'll change that in a sec.
So if you have a finished song and it is finished, put it out there and then, because...
Do you want to get my charger?
Yeah.
It's in the front pocket of my bag. It's fine, I can cut this.
Yeah, that's right. If you do have a finished song, don't be a perfectionist about it. Just put it out.
Yeah.
Because
Don't try
that matters. That matters more. How many of your favourite artists? How many of the biggest artists in the world have released not very good songs?
Quite a lot.
Yeah, you know, like not everything that they do is an absolute belter number one.
Yeah, there's also a lot of artists who don't release their stuff and then it will get leaked and people will listen to it and be like, why has this never come out?
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like with most...
That's more in like the pop and hip hop world.
Yeah,
that doesn't really happen so much in other genres.
Yeah, I feel like with most stuff you make, I feel like you should just put it out anyway because it will be like... even if you don't like it, there might be people who do like it.
True.
And it will basically... Otherwise, it's just going to sit there with no progression and it's just going to...
I do agree with it.
Yeah.
But a side note to also think about is to make sure that it's still of a certain quality. You know, if you've just made a loop and you go like, I'm just going to put that out.
You can nudge the camera if you want. There you go.
Are we back on?
Yeah.
We're back on.
Good.
Yeah. You still need to make sure it's good. I mean, if it's good for you at the time, then put it out.
Yeah.
If you think at the time, if you were to show the song to someone, if you were about to say something before it plays, if you're like, by the way, just ignore the chorus, or I'm going to sort out the mixing or whatever, then it's not ready to release. You need to think like, yeah, I'll just play this for someone.
Yeah.
You know, and if you get to that point, then put it out at that point. Yeah, put it out and progress and move on. And you can use that as a benchmark. And I mean, if you really want to, you can put it down later on. I don't think that's a very good thing to do. I think I quite like diving on people's SoundClouds, you know, and seeing some of the first stuff they ever made. If it's stuff they made at college when they were younger, like 10, 15 years ago or so. And those early demos, like, that's where you can start seeing the way that they progress from making those into the music that everyone knows. So keep it out, like, or at least have it so it's available. I think so. People will be way more interested in you if they see you've got lots of stuff out, and it's still of a relatively good quality, rather than one thing that's amazing, but there's nothing else to back it up because you've overthought so much that you've not done anything else. Perfectionism is your enemy. I've done lots of research into how to get past that element of perfectionism and how it affects your mental state in a totally avoidable and unnecessary way. Just put it out. No one else cares. No, that sounds brutal.
Oh, I know. I cleaned my ankle. I was like, oh.
Well, my nan said this to me when I was younger. Yeah, she was like, it was when talking about like anxiety and overthinking and nervousness, and she said, I might have said this to you guys before. She said to me like,
I don't think you stopped me.
She's like, what makes you think anyone else? What makes you think you're so special? You know, like in the context of like overthinking something. She's like, what makes you think you're so special? I was like, oh, man, I'm your grandchild.
I'm your grandson.
Yeah. But she's like, no. Like, the point is just like everyone's in their own heads overthinking their own things. You know, like that thing that you think everyone's overthinking about, they've forgotten about like years ago or months ago. Or it means the littlest amount to them. You're just holding yourself back because you're overthinking something. And as a matter of fact, if you started putting it out, people might say something, or they might go fair play. And soon enough, they'll forget about it anyway, especially in today's culture. Think about how quickly people move on from something. You know, quickly a scandal comes in the news, and then 2 days later, everyone's forgotten about it and moves on to the next thing. You know, like, that's the way people's minds work. You might as well be in it, you know? Yeah. Don't overthink it.
When producing a song, this is a question from Cam, what instrument do you start with?
The right one.
Do you literally just come with whatever comes to your head, or do you just have one in specific?
No. If you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you've always got.
That's a good quote.
Yeah, that's another one from my nan, actually. To tell you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Nan's a big inspiration for me. She's not a musician at all, but it's true. Like, if you every single time,
she's a quoter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I went through a period of time where I made up like a template on Logic template on Ableton where I was like, these are the drum sounds I usually like to use. These are the synth sounds I usually like to use. And yeah, right, it was useful for the routing because you set up like reverb buses and everything like that. But you know what ended up happening? Everything sounded the fucking same. Like for 4 months, everything sounded the same.
Nothing changed.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh, here's the same sounds that I use at this point. What does that even mean? Like, here's a kick drum sample I always use. Why? Like, it might not suit the next song.
Yeah.
No. So my thing is whatever the right instrument is on the day, and that could be I really fancy playing bass today, and then I pull up some MIDI drums. And I just play bass onto it. Find a bass line. It might be that I'm just sat at a piano or just sat at a MIDI controller and I'm just messing about with a piano sound, electric piano sound, or I start diving into the synths and going through loads of presets on there because sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it's about chopping up samples and getting loops out of them. I like chopping up drum samples into really weird ways so they don't sound like drum samples anymore and then using that as a texture. Sometimes it's getting chords on a guitar. Sometimes it's a riff on an electric guitar. Sometimes it's messing about with a drum machine. You know, like have you ever heard of a guy called Ludwig Göransson? Sorry. He's the producer who he did the Oppenheimer score that came out last year. He also produced Childish Gambino "Awaken My Love" album, the one with like Red Bone.
Oh, what an album!
Yeah, great album.
What an album!
Great album. Yeah. So he did an interview on Sound on Sound magazine. You guys read Sound on Sound magazine?
I don't really read magazines.
Man, like
I feel like I should.
This is the one we've got a couple old episode. Issues downstairs from like 10 years ago or so.
I'm going to read through
but like that's what I did. So I just take them all home. But yeah, he did. I sign up for it every year for my birthday. Like, and I get a year's worth. And around the time that Oppenheimer came out, he did an interview with him, and in that he says in his home studio. His home studio, he has hundreds of instruments, all different ones, all weird ones. And he says he likes to start every single song with a different instrument. I don't know, like if you do it every single time, but that's an interesting thought. Like, have you ever thought about starting a song with a triangle? As an example,
I've never thought of the triangle while making music. If I'm honest.
Yeah, you should do. A triangle is an instrument like. To play triangle properly is really hard. And if you hear some like funk stuff from the 70s, like some Lonnie Liston Smith stuff, like the triangle player on that, I don't know who he is off the top of my head. That's like such a part. And you try and play it, it's really hard. But it's just like just hitting that triangle for like 8 minutes. And they're like, it's amazing, it's entrancing. Yeah. But like have a go using a different sound, using a different instrument.
Me and Cam will have to experiment.
Yeah, and then
just find a random instrument and go from there.
Yeah, just start with it.
Yeah, we could.
Give yourself limitations as well. Give yourself unique limitations. Have you guys? Do you know the producer Brian Eno?
Nope. We look so stupid right now.
Yeah, no. Brian Eno is he produced like. First of all, it's like music for airports, like ambient music that played through.
Didn't you say this earlier?
Yeah, I might have said it to you actually. Yeah. So when he was producing, I can't remember the artist he was producing, but they made a stack of cards at the beginning of the production sessions, and on there they wrote weird things on there. It was like they wrote all their own things on them, and it was like take 4 strings off of the guitar and make a song. Take that chord progression that you wrote yesterday and play every chord backwards or something like that.
Did it work?
Yeah. Because it's like it's going to force you to play. Okay, if you have a guitar with 2 strings on it, like you can't play guitar like normal, can you? So now it's like a different instrument. You have to like do this or like tune a guitar to every string to be a D. Now play something. Yeah. It's like you're going to have to think differently. and then you think differently and mess about with it, it might just be messing about and you might just make something crap. But again, that's an experience learned, and you've done it, and that's another thing that you can add into your repertoire when the time is right. You know, like just keep your options open. Saying that though, I love the electric piano sounds on Keyscape.
Yeah.
Or anything on Keyscape, to be honest. But I quite like some of their sounds. The felt piano on there is amazing. The upright piano on there is really nice. If I'm not around an actual piano that I can jump on, or the electric pianos, the Rhodes and the Whirlers is on there are really nice. So if I'm looking just for like, I want a piano-ish sounds, I do jump on Keyscape quite a lot.
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest achievement in music?
I mastered a tune that got into the iTunes top 10. It was sitting just above Calvin Harris and Ariana Grande.
Oh, wow.
This was 2021.
What song was it?
It was a duo from, Gospel in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
DJ called Brandon Lake and a singer called Sam Pack came together and formed this duo called Bifany. And that opening single, they really, really, really pushed it on iTunes. That's what they wanted.
I feel like that name is familiar. I don't know about you.
And just for like 1 or 2 days, it was sat in the iTunes top 10. And I mastered that myself.
Although, like, it was 2 days, but those 2 days is still in the top 10.
Yeah, in the world iTunes top 10, it was sitting there.
Mad.
And I said above Ariana Grande and Calvin Harris. I was like, yeah, that's something that
That's a flex.
I think that one I mastered in the studio, but I think I might have.
Which one? Key West?
The old Key West, in the old Key West studio. So that's pretty cool. You know, like I wasn't involved in a lot in the creative process for that. A big one for me actually was producing the Directors record. Directors of a local band.
Yeah.
They were the first bands that like entrusted me to, let's produce, produce their music.
Yeah.
Which was really, really cool, and I dove right in there. I think we did 4 days recording for 5-6 song EP. I ended up doing a full string arrangement for one of the songs. Ended up being its own song, and they were open just to letting us mess about in the studio. We put like the master through a tape delay and stuff like this, and just like proper messed it up in weird ways. I like that. In terms of my own music, my tune got played on Radio 6 and Radio 3. I was mental thinking of this song that I wrote in the bath. Just like when I was really, really ill with COVID, ended up being played,
on radio.
Yeah, and like doing relatively, and everyone that listened to it really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not massive commercial success. Like again, I'm not the full package that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. And that was nice to hear that one. I haven't got one particular. I think so. I don't think that. I wouldn't like to put it down to one particular one because then that sort of puts the focus on something being better than another. I think that everything's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could have any other job in general, what would it be?
So not in music.
Not in music.
Part of me thinks I'd love to be a chef. I love cooking all the time. I cook every day.
That surprised me.
Why? What would you think?
I don't know. I just didn't expect you to say, "Oh, I'd like to be a chef."
Yeah,
it showed Cam as well.
Yeah, no, I think creating music and creating food are very, very similar.
Chefing up a beat.
How often have I given food analogies? I give a reference to something and just say it's like food. It's like making a pizza.
Yeah, to be fair.
To be fair. I do it all the time because I genuinely think it is. Like in the same way that you can look at all the ingredients used to make a dish, they're all there as individual ingredients. The same way that you look at all the parts that are there to make a song, the synths and the drums and whatever, on their own, it's quite nice. It's not a meal, it's a good ingredient. It's it's a nice thing to play about with. But when you put it together in the right way, and it's crafted perfectly, and it comes together for this amazingly delicious experience, or fantastic experience of listening to it. I think they're very similar. But I don't know if I could work in a commercial kitchen. I'm much more of a home cook where I can just take my time with it.
Yeah.
I cook every single night without fail, and always something nice. And I cook for all my mates as well. So I always do Christmas meals, and when we go on holidays in the summer, we have barbecues. I will prep all the food. I'll make the burgers and do everything.
He's like the dad.
Yeah.
He's like the dad of his friend group.
So I'd like to think a chef.
Yeah.
But if not, still a teacher. So I know it's the same profession. I'm doing the same thing. But I love teaching as well. I think being able to teach means that you fully understand myself. I fully understand the topic better. I start to develop it better. Feels good to teach. When you got a room of people that you feel like, they've had a good day today.
Yeah.
So I like being a teacher as well. I know it's the same profession, but that's what I think as well.
Well, I was talking about outside of music, so you're good. So you can be a teacher if you want. What instrument do you want to learn that you can't play?
Drums.
That is exactly what Cam said. I was like, I'm going to write that down, and Cam was like, he's going to say drums.
Yeah, it's drums or vocals.
Do you sing on your own stuff?
I have, on most songs that I've produced, there is some of my vocals on it.
Yeah.
But I think actually vocals probably is something that I need to develop more. Because I'm a really, really bad singer, and
it's fine. So am I.
As a producer, no, you're not. You're not actually
that
on that one you played earlier. It was really good. But I'm talking about some of my stuff that I is really, really. What's in my head and what comes out of my mouth are two different things.
Yeah.
And drums is cool because it'd be useful to think about different beats and different rhythms and everything. But vocals would be good because then I could then develop my own ideas a bit more and not have to always rely on another singer, because that's the thing that's really, in my opinion, hindered me so far, is that I can create these instrumentals and everything I show you is always an instrumental basically, isn't it? And then I need to go out and find a singer for it, but if I could develop my vocals a bit more, not that I would sing on it, but I could then
give them a reference.
Yeah, it's this is what I'm thinking, something like this, what do you think? And then they can be inspired by it and then put their vocals on it and their sound, and it's sort of, they don't always need to make an idea from scratch. Some people want to be given a song and they just want to sing the song. Other people like the creative process, and but some of them then find it hard to sing to something. They'd rather make something from scratch. Some people, the ones that I find I work best with, they need a basis, they need a song or something to be given to them, and then they can write lyrics to it. But yeah, developing vocals and my drums would definitely be the areas that I need to improve upon.
Which artist has been your inspiration to play instruments?
To play instruments, that's a...
So, you've heard an artist play an instrument, and you're like, oh, wow, basically, and you want to learn that instrument.
When I was younger, especially, loads of guitarists.
Yeah.
Slash was one of the first ones that made me pick up guitar, Guns N' Roses. It was 10 years old, and I got the Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction album for my birthday. It's got so much swearing in it, I don't think Mum and Dad really knew. Well, I think they did, but just sort of he likes it. It was because Welcome to the Jungle was on GTA San Andreas, and I used to love that game. And, give me San Andreas, and I was 9, so it's fine. But and then we've gone listening to Slash, and was I asked then afterwards, get me an acoustic guitar, whatever. Played for 2-3 months, played a C chord, whatever, and it was no, never picked it up again. And then I didn't. Then for another 3 years, I was 13 or so, and it was let me try this again. So yeah, weird actually, isn't it? Because like music production, I didn't like at first, and guitar, I didn't really like at first.
And now look.
Yeah, exactly. So Slash was a big one at first, and then there was obviously like Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, Stevie Ray Vaughan, loved his blues playing. All the classic, if you ask any guitarist who their inspirations are, they're always going to say Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, Van Halen, like all of these guys that are like the guitar legends for a reason because they're all amazing. I was influenced by all of them, trying to learn every single one of them, develop their styles as part of my own. And then as like a producer, I like Calvin Harris has always been a big one. Massive.
Yeah, he's more modern compared to most. But he's still quite.
Well, what I liked about him and his ethos, especially after his third album, which is when he went massive, is like that's when he really stopped singing on it and stopped thinking of himself as the artist. And he's like, no, I'm the producer artist, but I'm the producer. And then I'll bring in Rihanna, I'll bring in Florence Welch, I'll bring in,
Quavo.
Yeah, everyone. Ariana Grande, Katy Perry, and then like you then look at those two, the last 3-4 albums basically. Yeah. And it like, especially the two Funk Love Bounces ones where it's all a bit more like R&B hip hop. Everything on there everything's got a feature. Every song. I like that. It's my ethos as well because I'm never going to sing on my stuff. So I always like, especially when I was more of an artist anyway, it was just like I wanted to think of myself as a producer artist. So I like that. And I like the fact that he's influenced by dance music as well as influenced by old soul and hip hop. And he's got all of that stuff in it. You hear songs like Slide with Frank Ocean, and you hear the hip hop beat.
Frank, please drop an album.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, do it, man.
It's been too long.
Yeah, some of his stuff's great.
I love Frank Ocean.
And I hear the soul, the soul music. I hear the Isley Brothers in there, and I hear Brothers Johnson in there. And then I hear like Funkadelic Parliament in there as well, which is all definitely not electronic EDM dance music. Yeah. But then he also then releases EDM dance music as well, which is like got everything that I love in it. So that he's a massive inspiration. But then as it comes to like other producers, as I've got a bit older, like my boy Quincy Jones, R.I.P.
Oh yeah, no, he was very gutted about that recently.
Yeah, man. Yeah, last week. Yeah.
Someone told me he was in the room playing Michael Jackson because he found out he died.
No, I didn't even know he died. We were just happened to be jamming on Billie Jean.
Oh, what?
Like, by the way, Quincy Jones just died. And I was like, wow, he just ruined my mood.
Well, there goes my day. Yeah. Absolutely ruined.
No, he's an absolute legend. And what I like is what I was saying to you guys earlier is about like the mindset and ethos that he obviously creates in the room with the artists.
He's responsible for some of the greatest music ever made.
Yeah, exactly. And then in that same world, I think Rick Rubin. I would never want to. This is hard. I don't mean to sound like it. I'm not a producer like Rick Rubin. I will never be a producer like Rick Rubin, because I'm too hands-on. Yeah. He admits that he doesn't really play anything or do much, but he just has opinions and taste. And his opinions and tastes are flawless most of the time. Like most people's artists that he's produced, like most of my favourite albums that they've done
with
the Rick Rubin album. The new Marcus King album that he did this year is my favourite Marcus King album. The System of a Down, Toxicity, favourite System of a Down.
You're going to get a lot of love for saying that from everyone downstairs.
Yeah. Adele, 21.
Rick Rubin.
Yeah, man. He wasn't just Rick Rubin, but like
he was involved.
Big songs on there. And so there's no. It's obvious that he's involved in it. I always get influenced as well by mix engineers now. So people like Manny Marroquin, who's mixed. He's basically so like done most of the Bruno Mars stuff. Loads and loads of pop
he's
stuff.
He's just become most listened artist, I'm pretty sure. 128 million.
Yeah, Bruno Mars.
Oh, that was bad. 128 million. I was going to cut that, but I'm going to keep it in now that you've made the joke. Right, everyone's going to be... oh, no.
Yeah, man. Put that one on real, like some stuff that Manny Marroquin does, Serban Genya, obviously, and he's like, there's a reason that these guys are the biggest mix engineers in the world. It makes it sound amazing, and they're getting amazing productions from amazing producers and amazing artists, but their mixes are also amazing as well. So, like, I get inspired by that and how they put that together. I could go on lists all days, like Bob Clearmountain and like what he did for production and mixing, everything from the early Chic days to being the first really independent mix engineer. There's so many, and I think again, you see my influences come from everywhere.
Yeah,
I still haven't even talked about Prince or George Benson or
Mike Dean,
as well. Like still all that stuff. Like I
was waiting for him to bring him up, but he didn't. I was surprised.
And Mike Dean's a bit more of a recent find for me.
Yeah,
I was a bit late onto the Mike Dean knowledge, but
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's great. He's great, great stuff, and I like his ethos, which is like, we'll just make something and just put it out. It's just like he doesn't dwell on anything. That's what he says. Like, we make an album in like 3 days and then just put it out.
The only problem is it depends on who he works with. Like, he will make a load of music with Kanye, and then Kanye will be like, "Nah, we're not putting this out."
Yeah, but the ethos is just make something and then just move on. So I've got a lot of respect for lots of different people, lots of different artists, instrumentalists, producers, mix engineers. I'm going to talk about front of house stuff as well, but like there's so many of them that like you look up to them in different ways, and try and find little nuggets of their knowledge that might be out there in interviews or videos that they've done, so that you can take it and then implement it into yourself.
Lot of knowledge from Max. Yeah. He knows his shit. I'll be real. Right, I've got 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Who is the most popular person you've worked with?
Most popular.
I'm going to ask it anyway because I'm not sure if it was the whole iTunes top 10 thing.
Well, I guess that's
anyway.
Probably the most streamed thing and listened thing that I've worked.
How many streams does it have as of now? Do you know as of now? Or?
I think collectively like 400,000 or so.
That's pretty good.
Another guy, I produced his whole album, that album has had over 1 million plays.
Damn.
I produced the whole thing on it, collectively on YouTube and Spotify and whatever. I don't really know. It's hard to say, because there's lots of people that are better or more successful in different areas. That's a hard one really to say. I don't really have a clear answer for that, to be honest with you.
In terms of like popularity, as in like their most followed person you've worked with, or would it just be the people from earlier?
Yeah, probably. There's nothing really clear that stands out to my mate, to be honest with you. One thing I would say to it, it's not necessarily answering your question, but the point I want to make is don't worry or think about how popular it is or you are. Just make it.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Just make it, and if you make it and put in a little bit of effort into putting it out in a way that goes with you, your personality and your values, in terms of how you release it, then someone will like it. Lots of people won't like it, but that's the best way to then move on. You have to think about it as an art form first, rather than a income stream or a way of promoting yourself. Just like make the art, and then the rest will hopefully come. Think of it that way, you'll have a better mindset.
Just think positively, basically.
Just don't overthink it. Just don't overthink the song you're making. If like sometimes you hear a song and you go like, yeah, this could be played at Reading, or this could be good Radio 1 tune or whatever. But just make the song. Just make it into whatever that song needs to be, and move on.
Last question I got for you.
Yeah.
What piece of advice would you give to anyone who wants to start producing?
That's a good piece of advice. I think so. Just make the music.
Just make the music.
Yeah, just make the music. Don't overthink about what it needs to be or where it is you want to go. Address your own. Try your best to address your own personal issues. Be honest with yourself about what your downfalls are, and as a person, not just as a producer, and try and see if you can be honest with yourself and try and address them, because it's about how people want to work with you rather than how good you are. If you're amazing but a real arse to be around for more than 20 minutes, then people don't want to work with you. Because if you're in a room with someone you've just met for 6 hours, like, how you doing? You sit down and then we're 6 hours together, like, you're a dick, like, that's going to be a really rough 6 hours. Then I want to come back again. If you can look at some of the potential downsides that you might have, and I'm not saying just like you're going to perfect everything, because no one's perfect. That's not what I mean. I mean in the sense of like, try and address them and try and be understanding with this is who you are, and this is what you could do better, and aware. That's probably a big one. Be aware of what you're doing and how you're talking to someone, or what effect that might be having on them. If you do all of that, then you can then pull out the best out of the artists that you're working with, because you're reading them, you're reading the body language and what sort of person they are. The role of producer is very hard because you need to think for so many other people. You need to create this environment for other people, even though you might not be feeling super creative or whatever. You have to put that aside and just like make it happen. You guys will find this when you do the thing in a couple of days. It's like that can be quite stressful, and it is quite stressful. Yeah. You hope that you just get on like a house on fire with someone, and you don't even need to worry about that because it's just all pouring out of you. But to get on like a house on fire with someone, you can't be a dick. Yeah. You need to address lots of those things. So that's more of like a personality element, that if you're sound to be around and you're respectful and you're reliable, that matters more than your skill set. If your skill set then also matches that, then that's when you're going in the right direction. Work on those elements of your personality and your ability to be able to communicate with people just as much as you work on your ability to get a drum kit sounding good, or writing cool parts. No, it's the sum of all these parts that becomes into you as a producer. That's why, as we said earlier, that's why Quincy Jones pulled the best out of people. And it's why other people would pull the best out of people. And it's why artists love working with a particular producer. And they if you believe in someone as well, then really let them know that you believe in them. And if you have all these good characteristics and traits, they'll believe in you, and they'll believe in the fact that you believe in them, and then you go together. And then you all can then step up and be part of the next level together. What you need really is to, if you think about where everyone starts at the bottom. I don't like thinking of this as a pyramid, but it's probably the best way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
The top of the pyramid is like the superstars and the super producers and everything. And we'll start at the bottom, and eventually then you work with someone, and then a little gateway opens where you can go up a level. And then once you've done that, you go up a level, you're now in this level, and then you're working with people that are a little bit more established and have a little bit of a following behind them. And then hopefully something you do there breaks out a little bit more, it becomes a little bit more successful. And if you do it right, everyone you should be working around and working with should hopefully be going up at the same sort of phases with you. And then everyone grows together, and then when there's an opportunity coming about, it's just like an artist might work with another producer, and after you've worked with them, they love working with you, but they've just worked with another producer just to get a different sound or whatever, then that song blows up or does a bit more successful. Now they're up a level, they go like, well, I love working with Max, or I love working with Cam, like, let's bring him into a session. And you get a call up saying, it's like, yeah, we've got a session actually in London, like, come up for it. And all of a sudden now you're in a room with people, you know? And once you're in the room with people, you can impress them with your skills and your knowledge and everything, yeah? But it's the balance of having the awareness, and being patient. It's not going to come over time. I think that's quite a lot of there. I think so.
Yeah. The last question. Do you want to shout out any socials or nah?
You can if you want.
I've been asking everyone, so yeah, it's just essentially a trend now.
They've got some music on Spotify. My Instagram is the main place, but I don't worry about socials really too much. Just make music.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
I think that is literally about it.
Yeah.
I've asked all my questions. Thank you, Max, for coming on. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come on.
That's all right.
Thank you, Cam, for sitting there.
Thanks, Cam.
He didn't have to. He didn't have to. Max didn't have to, but they both have. I really appreciate that they both have. I think you have the longest episode, but I'm kind of glad you do, because I've had a lot of people basically say they were looking forward to it, essentially. I said to a bunch of people, I think Max might be getting on it, and they were like, oh, I'm like looking forward to that.
Yeah,
like,
all right.
Like when Aidan was helping us with questions, he was like, oh, I want to hear his answer to that. So a lot of people will be able to hear what you said.
That's good. I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you very much.
You're on episode 3 as well.
Episode 3.
So yeah, thank you for coming. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Cam, for sitting there.
Cheers.
That is going to wrap it up for the 3rd episode. Who's 4th? I think 4th could be Abgaron, depending on how busy they are. But yeah, that's been the 3rd episode. Thank you again, Max. Thank you, Cam. And thank you for watching. And we will be back hopefully with episode 4.
Sound.